Welcome back to the BA Podcast. It's your boy C-Roc here, guest hosting at the event in Dallas. Man, it's awesome to see these folks every quarter. I got to tell you, and if you don't know about BA, you got to check it out because you could be the member here too, and seeing us and hanging out with us every quarter when we all get together and do amazing things and build some amazing relationships. I have Ben Lee with us here today, my friend Ben. We've been spending some time together lately. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Love being here.
Great to have you. I guess we met 3 months ago.
Yeah, 3 months ago.
Actually,
in the room right next door,
Yeah, that was my first time. I got christened in, or whatever you want to say, broken in. I had a BA event. I love it here. And, just the amazing people that are here. It's just, they really care, and, that's like, it feels like people want to give first.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so, but it's glad to have you here on the show here. Let's get into it, man. What are you working on right now that has you excited?
Has me excited, wow. A lot has me excited. So in the last 2 years, I've been building a platform. It's called LEAP. It's the Lab Education and Advocacy Platform. And what it does is it's basically a translation service that helps patients and providers understand lab results in a much easier format because, again, I'm sure everyone's experienced this where they go to their physician and then they get their lab results, they're like, yep, you're fine. And it's like, well, what do you mean? That's it? Like, there's no explanation whatsoever. It's like, well, I still feel like crap, or I still feel like something's wrong. But it's like, no, you're fine. And then obviously you just kind of go, about your business because you think nothing's wrong, right? Because the expert says you're fine. Yeah. Well, what we typically tend to see is you can experience a lot of symptomology, even though you're quote unquote normal.
Right.
So a lot of people can, feel low energy, brain fog, poor sleep, like stomach issues.
Low libido.
Low libido, all that.
Yeah.
And, they be normal.
Yeah.
Right. But, the challenge is that most people don't understand what they call the reference range, right? So what LabCorp, Quest, and all the other laboratories do, they take their entire patient population, 95% of them are what make up the reference range.
So it's like a bell curve in high school.
It's exactly
that
what
grade
it is.
was great when you were having a D on the test.
Yeah.
But the A students are like, well, hey, what the heck?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you think about it,
why do they do that though?
That's just the way that.
But what do you think they set it up that way, just to make things like look better than they are?
I guess. Or? I mean, it's just a statistical analysis if you think of it.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're in that bell curve, they think you're fine. Right. But the challenge is it's not compared to optimal. And if you think of who the population is, it's the American population, which 50% of them are basically obese, and 45% of them have one or more chronic diseases. Do you really want to compare yourself to those people, the unhealthy, like obese majority, versus what is really optimal?
Yeah. Closer, Mike. And so there's a story behind why you got into this, and I love this story, but I want the audience to make sure they hear about it. Can you tell us about the trip and how the story came about, why you wanted to kind of democratize this service?
Yeah, so it's actually two parts. So the first part was last year I developed diverticulitis. So I had 4 of my wisdom teeth taken out. 2 of them were impacted on the bottom. And that happened on Friday. By Wednesday, my mouth just started radiating in pain to the point where I was like, oh my God, like my brain feels like it's just
Did you have a dry socket, by the
I
way?
did.
I
think that's what I had.
Worst pain I've ever had.
Oh my God, it was brutal. The surgeon had given me, I think it was Toradol or Tramadol, I can't remember which one. I was taking that, didn't do anything.
No.
And then I called him back, I was like, listen, like my brain's about to explode. I'm like, you need to give me something. And he's like, okay, well, take 12 Advil, Tylenol every single day. So you think, yeah, that makes sense, right? It's over the counter, they should work, synergistically together. But what I didn't realize was that NSAIDs actually increased diverticulitis risk. And that happened a week after.
And what is symptoms of
diverticulitis? So diverticulitis is where you have little cilia in your intestines, so basically little hairs.
Yeah.
And sometimes like little things can get stuck in the hair.
Yeah.
It'll start to get infected.
Inflamed.
If it explodes, it's called diverticulitis. Okay. If it bleeds, it's called diverticulosis.
Okay.
So I had the exploding kind, which is not fun. And what happened was I had multiple perforations in my ascending colon. They had to cut me open, cut out that part of my colon, and stitch me back up.
And what are the symptoms that you had, though, that you noticed?
Basically just
from the inflammation.
Indigestion that would not stop.
Okay.
And then it got to the point where the next day I ate a tiny bit of an apple, and it felt like I had an open wound in my stomach and somebody's pouring salt on it.
Oh.
Like I've never felt pain like that ever in my life. Oh. And through that process, when I got to the hospital, they gave me morphine first when I got there. didn't do anything. They had to give me Toradol and Dilaudid on top of that, and then I could actually be normal. I wasn't just screaming in pain. Obviously, when you're on pain medication, you really can't be lucid, right? You can't make good, high-quality decisions. And then after the surgery, what they would do is they would wake me up every 2 hours to take my vitals. And I'm like, listen, if I'm not dying, let me sleep. Because if I sleep 8 hours, I'll actually recover faster and get out of here faster. But again, they don't really care. They want to just milk the insurance as much as they can.
Yep.
And in the morning, around 5:30, 6 o'clock, what they would do is they'd just knock on the door very quickly. They would come in, turn on the lights, and mind you, it's pitch black. All of a sudden, there's fluorescent lights everywhere. So you're like, what the hell? I was wearing my Oura ring, so I was getting maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night. And they wake you up out of a dead sleep, and then you have 10 people staring at the foot of your bed. And then you're kind of like, what's going on, right? And then you got like drool still, coming out of your mouth. You got the eye crusties and everything. You're like just trying to look proper to some degree. And then they're like, hey, we're going to do all this fun stuff to you all day. You got any questions? And she's like, what? Like, how can I have an educated discussion with you about your course of action for the next 24 hours? Like, I just had 2 hours of sleep. You just woke me out of a dead sleep, right? I'm not prepared. They want to get out of that room as quickly as possible. Like, they want to be in and out in like 2 minutes. Yeah. And if you don't have like all of the stuff that you want to ask prepared or your discussion points prepared, they're in and out, and you can't talk to them again for another 24 hours, which is insane. Right. And when they do it, most of the time you don't have anybody with you either, so you can't have an advocate with you there because it's before visiting hours. So when I was going through that, that's where I got to thinking because for me, I obviously know more about the body than most people, and I have 4 physicians in my family. I have a medical team. My fiance works for Optum, which is part of United Healthcare, which is the largest health insurer in the world. I am not your normal patient. Right. Okay. So when I was going through this, I was like, if I can't properly advocate for myself, well, what about everyone else? What about the 99.9% of the planet that doesn't have the resources that I do? Right. So that's where I started thinking about, okay, we need to be able to up-level each individual within the system by educating them better, so that they can empower themselves to really take control of their health and wellness, and that they can probably advocate for themselves as well. And the other part of that was, when I was thinking about the platform, one of the things, experience that I had was I went to Medellin, Colombia, and my fiance is from Medellin. She moved there when she was 13, and we've been going back, a few times a year. And during one of those trips, she actually left her phone in an Uber. And we saw it go from like one of the comunas, and the community is basically like a favela where police don't even go, right? So super dangerous. And I was like,
the hood.
It's the hood. Like literally, police don't even go. And I said to her, I'm like, listen, we're gonna just have to buy you a new phone when we get home, because that thing's gone. There's no way in hell we're gonna see that ever again. And she's very persistent and very obsessive about things. And she's like, you know what? I'm gonna try my best, until we leave to try to get it back. So I'm like, okay, good luck. And so she puts a little message on there saying, hey, if you return this phone, I'll give you $200 US. And then, interestingly enough, like 15 minutes later, a young lady calls us. It's like, listen, I found the phone in the Uber. I can bring it back tomorrow morning to your hotel. We're like, okay, awesome. Let's see if this actually works out. So the next morning, we are at the hotel. She shows up, very young lady. I think she was maybe like 18 or 19. We get to talking to her. She's got like 3 young kids. And when she gives the phone back, my fiance gives her the $200. And then the girl's like, are you sure? It's like, what do you mean, are you sure? Of course. Like, you did your part of the deal, right? Yeah. And if you brought the phone back, we would give you the money. Of course, why wouldn't we give you the money? And what she said next just really hit me, and it was just so profound, because she said, I don't even make this in 2 months. And then I was like, holy crap, like, those are the people that need help the most, because they don't have access to healthcare like we do. They don't have the physicians, they don't have the expertise. So they're literally just kind of gliding along, and luckily maybe they can find a high quality provider, but chances are probably not. Yeah. And when I was thinking about the platform, I was like, how do I help the poorest of the poor, but how do I still monetize it? Because the other challenge with, let's say, Latin American countries is there's a pharmacy on every single corner. And that's how we typically monetize, our patients, is where, we'll, continuously sell them supplements or compounded medications or whatever it may be. But we can't do that in Latin America because you can go to any pharmacy and pick up whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right? You can get testosterone, you can get GLP-1s, whatever it is. Right. So we're like, okay, well, that's a difficult one. So I literally thought about it for over a year. And I literally beat my head against the wall. And I knew, I was like,
while you were still building a platform for the normal original mission.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, it was kind of kind of concurrent in a way because I was like, I needed to build the system for us anyways.
Yeah.
So I wanted to help more people. That was always the filter of how I built the business was, how can I make more impact, create more value, help more people. And then it dawned on me that we just want to be able to give away the access to the platform for free.
Right.
So we would give certain biomarkers for free, and if they refer more people, right, then we incentivize them to do that because then they unlock more features.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And so, can you take us from idea to development? Like, how long did that take, and how did you execute upon that?
Oh, it took a long time because 1 year was just trying to think of how to monetize the
Well,
platform.
what were you doing professionally at the time?
Oh, so we still had our virtual clinic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we still had our virtual health and wellness clinic.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were still building that, but I saw that as kind of the next evolution of what we wanted to do. And we looked at it also as a potential lead gen opportunity for the virtual clinic because the more people could help, and we knew that if we were to suggest certain, let's say, treatment protocols or whatever it was for a patient, if we had their lab results, the probability of them taking it to their primary care physician and them following through with it was probably very, very low. Yep. So if we knew that, hey, if they say no or they don't want to do it, you can come back to us.
Right.
Right. So then that would filter into
that makes sense.
The virtual health and wellness.
Yeah, and so you worked for someone else first in that
Correct.
field before you worked and had your own.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what you learned while you were working for someone else that helped you going forward?
Sure.
What are some of the key things that you picked up from the past employer?
They were great at getting people through the door. They were great at getting people excited. Marketing, getting people through the door. The challenge was always with delivery and execution of the expectations and the promises that they would make.
Right.
That brought people through the door. So it was always just a constant churn because people, when you tell them we're going to get you stuff tomorrow, that's the expectation you set. But if it's not even feasible, right, or
you lose credibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then people get pissed off, and you only have one time to make a first impression. And if you don't do it right, if you don't do right by the client, right, if you don't say, hey, listen, yes, mea culpa, here's a free product, or here's a discount, for whatever it may be, then they lose faith in you because if you're not doing it, if you're not staying to your word, then they know that there's probably other cracks.
Right.
In the foundation.
But when you're starting something new, there's a balance here because you need to have big claims and get people fired up and get marketing because obviously then you don't have revenue if you don't do that, right?
Of course.
So how do you balance that? Because for me, in our company, when we first started, I'm good at marketing. I'm good at getting people fired up because I've done what we're doing for people. And we had tons of clients coming in. And then what it allowed me to do, I think you need to do that. And I want to hear your thoughts on this because it gave me the clarity on what things I needed to build and fix and systems I needed to create to serve the client the right way. But I wouldn't have known that if we didn't have that windfall of clients. So where's the balance in that?
Well, it's always negotiating that fine line of,
Yeah.
hey, we want to bring as many people through the door as possible, but you also don't want to lose that trust with them because, again, people want to work with other people that they know, like, and trust, right? Trust is a huge part of it. So if you break their trust at any point in time, right, then the probability of them staying is very difficult because, and I think you know this as well, acquiring customers is extremely difficult and extremely expensive. But once you have them, then obviously it makes it easier. So if you just service them and give them just a phenomenal experience, right, and be able to create raving fans, and that's what we've been able to do.
Yeah.
That's what really helps drive us because we haven't marketed in the last 4 years. Yeah, we haven't done any marketing whatsoever. It's all been word of mouth and referral.
Gotcha.
So the reason why we built it that way was because when I was starting this company, I looked at what the people I'd worked with before, what they did extremely well. So getting people through the door. But they didn't execute very well. And they were looking to build a lot of brick and mortar, a lot of franchises. And it was hard enough just trying to find good quality people to staff one location in the headquarters that would properly represent the brand and the mission. So I was like, okay, well, if there's that variability in just the people that you hire, and obviously when you have brick and mortar, there's a whole other set of complexities
and costs
that come into play. Yeah, overhead. And I used to be in the commercial real estate space as well before this in my past life. So everything from demographics, ingress, egress, tenant mix, like all these things come into play. And if you make a mistake on one of them, it could negatively affect your business. So I was like,
well, here's your advantage. You don't have a problem doing it virtual.
Correct.
I know one of the people there did not like work at home when COVID happened. People had to go work virtually, and he hated that. Right, one of the people involved. So that to me is a problem for that person. Like that thing he can't get over is a problem.
Right.
What you're doing virtually, there's no reason. Teledocs becoming more popular now. Like people don't mind staying at home and dealing with this stuff.
Right.
And then you can send them to LabCorp or put an order into LabCorp or some kind of lab, and then the results can come to you anyway.
Right.
And everything can be handled. Like you don't need brick and mortar.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so.
And the way I always filter it as well, I try to reduce as much friction as possible from the client perspective, but also from an operational perspective as well. So, what we're moving towards is we want to eventually establish or acquire a compounding pharmacy and have all the supplements in-house. So when somebody orders, we have complete control of that, because I've worked with other compounding pharmacies. They used to have 24 to 48 hour turnaround time. And then all of a sudden they brought all the GLP-1s on, and they went from like 4,000 orders to 9,000 orders a day overnight.
Right.
And then they went from 24 to 48 hours to over a month. And I'm like, you guys are killing me. Like,
and I had an order for Tessa Morellin, and it didn't come right away. And then they'd say, oh, well, we have to send it to testing, and this is taking forever. And then the guy that ordered it for me feels bad. Right. He's like, it's out of my control in a way, and it makes it look bad. So that's a great idea.
Yeah, but then also, like, you're contacting him, right? And it's just creating more, just more issues in a way,
and I understand business, so I don't bust his chops about it, like some people may, but it's a big problem. So so how long do you think that'll take to get up and running?
I'm not sure yet. Like, I mean, it's on the horizon. Like we want to have Leap, built first. We want to start generating a larger client base first, and then we'll build it modularly, because I also look at business in a sense of how do I reduce the risk and mitigate as much risk as possible. So I'd rather have the clientele first and then build, and not, again, you want to have demand first before you have supply.
And would you open it up to other providers too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But how do you do that and keep your client base prioritized?
Well, obviously, we would always, we would add additional modules as we saw, as the demand started to increase.
Okay. Got it. Now, one thing I want to touch on here. So you didn't market. It's word of mouth. But one thing you did do that I noticed is you got around other people that would vouch for you. You go to events and you leverage other people's audiences. And that's a powerful tool. That's marketing, by the way. So you have marketed. Right. You haven't done the ads and this and that kind of
Facebook,
stuff.
the social media.
Yeah, because I haven't either for what I've done. But what I've done is network myself, but then find people that know, like, and trust me, and they vouch for you, and that opens up a whole pool of people. And so you've done a great job with that. So I think you've learned that from some other place too, right? Or no? How did you like learn to get into that and leverage other people's audience? Where did that come from?
So in my past life, I was a real estate investor.
Okay.
So my parents were bringing me to real estate investment seminars when I was 8 years old.
There you go. Okay. I knew it came from somewhere.
Yeah. So I had been in the information marketing, business for a long time. So I used to go to real estate seminars and do all the old school, people like Ron LeGrand, Marco Kozlowski, Scott Shield, Cameron Dunlap, and all those people. So it was always just part of it, because it made a ton of sense to get people in a room, right? Obviously, you want them to be qualified, but once you have them in the room, then you know that they're probably going to buy something else. So it just made sense.
And then for the platform that you're building, what's it called?
Leap.
Yep. So is that going to be the same plan for Leap?
Well, for Leap, we're looking at it from a different perspective, because we want to get it into the hands of as many people as possible. So it would work great for providers, because providers, they can't spend the time to explain every single biomarker to every single patient. And by giving access to their patients, it actually increases the quality of the interactions with their patients. So their practice actually improves, because a higher educated and higher quality patient isn't going to ask higher quality questions and not waste time. And then also from the patient perspective, right, you don't have to go anywhere. It's going to be explained in a very simplistic manner. We made sure that we took all the complex medical theory and terminology, and we would associate it to something somebody's already experienced before, right? So we can literally explain it to a sixth grader, and they would understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we want to be able to white label it as well for corporate wellness, PEOs, like healthcare companies.
So here for the time that you're going to be putting into this, I'm always thinking about, generally in business, you're onesie twosies, one at a time, right? Mm-hmm. Then there's multiples. And that going to the providers, the white labeling it, that's good. That's, to me, in business, you should spend most of your time, especially with the new platform, multiples. Right. Focus on multiples. Build relationships with people that have those streams of people, just like the events. Mm-hmm. Because the onesie twosies, you're going to have to run ads for that, right? Because you need volume, right? So the multiples are the thing you need to go after for sure. So what do you see the vision being with this in the future? Like, what would have to happen with this that would light you up?
I mean, I literally want to get this around the world. Like, I want this to be a global phenomenon where we're able to just up-level like every single person in the healthcare system anywhere around the world. Because when I was looking at revolutionizing the entire healthcare system, I knew I couldn't attack or disrupt the entrenched or established players, because again, you'll get suicided if you do that, right? There's too many powerful people that have too much to lose if you try to disrupt it. So I knew I had to play with them, right? I had to help them. I had to solve a problem for them. Yep. Right. So if I solved the problem for them, then they would play nicely or more obviously nicer. Yep. Versus that. So would love to be able to bring this to all the countries. We're going to translate into Spanish next, and then all the different languages, Chinese of course, and we're going to try to get it to hopefully go viral.
Is there nothing else like this out there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. And then the other question I had with this is, when you're going forward with it, I lost my train of thought with it. As you're going for, is there AI built into it?
Oh yeah, of course.
So you're using AI.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, if you don't incorporate AI into your business,
right? That's
you're going to get left behind.
How did you pick the model to use, or did you incorporate many models?
So, right now, the AI, what it does is it will look at lab results. So it has to parse through lab results, and then from there, it will populate the specific videos that are required based on that individual's lab results. Okay. It also populates a report that is much more easily understandable versus normal lab results, because it's literally a foreign language to most people. Yeah. And then the next iteration is going to have automated treatment recommendations based on.
That's what I was going to ask you. Does it tell them what peptides they should use, whatever, and why?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that'll be the next phase. Then we'll white label it, and then after that, what we want it to do is be the central repository of health data, where it'll pull in all the health data for an individual, and then we'll have an AI that will parse through it and basically scan through it and say, hey, we see these trends in your health data. If you continue in this direction, we expect you to develop type 2 diabetes or cardiovascular disease or whatever it may be. You should make some interventions to prevent that from occurring.
And we'll give them a protocol for peptides or what have you, whatever they need, the protocol, and then maybe a pricing for it too and all that. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I love it. Well, where can people find out more? Is it launched yet?
We're in beta. Actually, the people at BA are going to be the first group to have access to it.
All right. So then, as far as your practice, though, where can people go deeper with you?
So 4bpm.com. So number 4, bpm.com. And then we actually have the domain for Leap. It's just whatisleap.com.
Okay. Yeah. And when they go on whatisleap.com, it's just informational right now?
Not yet. It will be. Yeah.
Okay, so it will be.
Yeah.
And then are they going to eventually have a wait list for it or something? Yes. Where they can, okay. Yep. Yeah, I like that idea. Yep. See how I put that in there? Yep. All right, man. Ben, I appreciate your time, man.
Love, bro.
Great to see you again, bud. Guys, that's this episode of the BA podcast here in Dallas at the BA event. It's your boy C-Roc and Ben Lee rocking it out. Make sure you hit the subscribe or follow button at the top of your favorite podcast platform and keep coming back. We've got a lot of members here. We're highlighting, spotlighting, a lot of value to bring to you. See you next time.